So here with Mikal Johnson, whose problem that he wants to solve is having more consistent conversations with people he wants to get in front of. So tell me a little bit about how you're doing that today.
Right now, it's been primarily phone calls and emails. And one of the things I think I'm struggling with is the messaging, because a lot of the times it's a commoditized product, so to speak. So some of our biggest competitors are Paychex, ADP, folks like Zenefits, a number of Paycom, Paycor, a number of folks. So a lot of the times it ends up being a commoditized. At first I was leading with, payroll, and at the end of the day, no one really wants to sell, payroll, so to speak. So you have to offer other things. So I'm struggling right now, trying to come up with the right messaging for that.
Okay. So let me give you a little test to see where you are with messaging. So let's pretend you and I are at a networking event, and I walk up to you and I say, "Hey, Mikal, what do you do?"
Great question. I help businesses. I help businesses streamline their HR processes, and HR professionals build kick-ass HR departments.
Okay. Yep. You got a messaging problem. All right. I'll tell you how I know. Because you sound very generic and very vanilla.
Okay.
And so the first thing we have to do is figure out how your customers describe the problems that you help them solve.
Okay.
So you're not talking about a problem right now.
No.
You're talking about a thing that you do. And generally speaking, people buy things because they have problems they want to solve. They buy for other reasons as well, but primarily the biggest reason people buy something is because of a problem they have. So let me just give you a couple of examples of what problems sound like. And then we can talk about the process for how we can understand your customers' problems, because you've probably never done their job before.
No, I have not.
So you have no idea what their world is. And here you are coming in trying to speak their lingo, and you sound not like you're speaking their language. And so it's no wonder that they're ignoring you. The good news is this is all solvable stuff. So let me actually just give you an example of what a problem sounds like and how you would answer that question at a networking event, which is where we'll start.
Okay.
If it's focused on a problem. So let's pretend for a second, we'll start with something very simple. Let's pretend that I sell a magic potion that when you put it on a sweater that you accidentally shrunk in the dryer, it actually unshrinks it back to its normal size. It's a product called Unshrink It.
Okay.
So if someone were to ask me what I did, what I wouldn't do is say, well, we have a bottle of stuff and it's in a 16-ounce bottle and it's made of Pliotex liquid with mercury. I wouldn't go down that route because that's describing what the thing is. What I would say is, hey, Mikal, do you know how sometimes you put a cashmere sweater in the dryer and it shrinks? Has that ever happened to you? Yeah, that happens to me all the time. Well, what we do is we unshrink that to its normal state so you don't have to spend money on a new cashmere sweater. And it works perfectly every time. Let me give you another example. Hey, Mikal, you know how sometimes you go to the mechanic to get an oil change and the mechanic tells you you actually need a new transmission and you don't know whether or not to believe him? Yep. We have a device for your car that makes sure that the mechanic is telling the truth. That's a problem.
Okay.
So for my business, if I worked for a software company, you know how you make lots of cold calls, maybe 100, and you only talk to 2 people? Yeah,
yes.
That happens to me all the time. Well, we have a solution that instead of allowing you to talk to 2 people, allows you to talk to 10 people out of 100 so that you could ultimately set more meetings. That's a problem that salespeople can relate to. Anybody that makes a cold call knows that's very difficult to connect with people. So the way in which let me actually stop there. Do you kind of see what problems sound like?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
let me actually test you now. Okay, so we streamline HR. Problem or not a problem?
That's not a problem.
Not a problem. We sell a CRM that is the easiest CRM to use because it has drag and drop features that lets you drag things from one stage to the other. Is that a problem?
No, that's still a solution to the problem.
We have an end-to-end platform.
That's still a still a solution to the problem, not the problem.
That's right. You got it. So the first thing we have to understand is the problem. Now, let me give you another example, because I was in your shoes 8 years ago when I came into Jellyvision. I was selling HR solutions as well.
Okay.
I sounded just like you. Okay. And I would pick up the phone and do emails and say, and I actually said the same exact thing. We streamline open enrollment. And I got hung up on. Nobody wanted to talk to me because marketing told me that's what we did. But the problem is people don't speak like that. Like HR professionals don't talk like that. Nobody sounds like you in the inner circle. So when I actually interviewed people that were customers, which is the best way to do this, people that bought within the last 30 days, and I asked them, like, what were you guys struggling with? Like, how did you know you needed to do something different? What they said was, well, we were feeling really frazzled during open enrollment, and we didn't want people banging on our door asking us the same questions over and over again about their benefits. That's a problem that I could never have thought up on my own because I'm not an HR person.
Right.
But when I started to talk to HR people, I started to understand how they describe the problem was very different than how marketing described the problem. And we have to be very specific and crispy. Notice the problem statements that I gave you. You know, have you ever had this happen when you put a cashmere sweater in the dryer and you accidentally shrunk it? Yeah. You ever had this issue where you go to a mechanic to get an oil change, but all of a sudden the guy's telling you need like a new transmission. You don't know whether he's lying or telling the truth. Yeah. You know, you make like 100 dials. You only talk to like 2 or 3 people. Yeah. With Basecamp, you know, your team is growing and you're trying to manage a project by email, but shit's getting lost. You don't know where the hell anything is. Projects are falling through the cracks. Yeah, that happens all the time. So the first thing you have to do, homework assignment number 1, is to ask your boss or your manager or whoever is in charge, explain to them what you're trying to do, ultimately increase your response rates. And one of the methods that you would like to do is to actually talk to some customers, preferably customers that recently bought within the last 35, 45 days, because the struggle will be fresh in their mind. Do you guys have customers yet? You guys have customers, or are you newer?
Yeah, we do have customers. So a little bit about Ahola. They've been around for about 50 years. And so recently we just transitioned from just doing strictly payroll to a solution called iSolve, where we are a reseller of the product, so to speak. So that's where we are right now.
Yep. And so we have to understand, because none of the stuff that you've said so far is going to light anybody up, because we're not talking about problems yet. And I'll know, like, when it's crispy. Like, so I got a cold call last week. Well, awesome cold call. Josh, I noticed you have your own podcast called Inside Selling. I listened to it on Apple iTunes. Do you know how you got a bunch of people listening, but your phone isn't ringing off the hook with leads in business? Yeah, that's kind of true. I do have a lot of people listening to the podcast, but my phone isn't ringing off the hook with leads in business. That's exactly the problem we solve for people that have podcasts like you. Would you like to learn more? Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Right. So if I cold called you and said, hey, Mikal, you know how when you're first starting a sales job, you're reaching out through cold email and cold calls and you're hearing crickets? No one's getting back to you?
Yes.
Like, yeah. I have a process I can take you to be a 1% performer in about 30 days. Would you like to learn more about that?
Yeah, heck yeah.
You probably wouldn't hang up the phone on me. Right? So those are the types of cold calls I make, but I'm only able to make them because I understand my audience.
Okay.
You're setting yourself up for failure and rejection when you're not focused on a problem that you think you can solve. So this is the other sort of takeaway. And this is lesson number 2, if you will. Just because you solve a problem doesn't necessarily mean the person you're calling wants to solve that problem right now.
Right. Agreed.
In fact, most of the people won't want to solve it right now, but they might one day. So we have to get out of this mindset of, when I pick up the phone, my intent is to book a meeting, because your mind's going to mess up with you, right? It's, hey, I'm calling to see if they have a problem that I might be able to potentially help them with, either now or at some time in the future. We can talk about how to do that. But it's like, it's just a different intent.
Okay.
It's an intent that's focused on exploring if you can help someone solve a problem. I'll just give you a quick story, an example to burn this in a little bit. My grandma had a crappy toaster. One side worked, it made light toast, and it took forever. It was shitty. I'm in sales. I'm like, I'm just going to bring over a new toaster and sell it to my grandma. Took it out. Grandma, take a look at this. 2 slices of toast, darker, faster, new toaster user interface, better, and it's free. I'll swap it out. She goes, I'm not using that toaster. Now, why wouldn't she use that toaster? Why do you think? It's better, isn't it? It's got two slices, darker, faster, new toaster interface. It's better. Why wouldn't she want it?
Maybe she doesn't eat toast that much. Maybe she doesn't.
You're close.
Maybe she likes.
You're close.
Yeah.
If you remember the beginning of the story, my grandma only eats one slice of toast. She's not in a rush, and she likes light toast.
Yeah.
So even though those are benefits of the toaster, even though you sell benefits of the thing, doesn't necessarily mean they matter to the person that you're calling. They may matter to some people, but not going to matter to everyone.
Okay.
Now, fast forward 4 months, and all of a sudden now both sides of my grandma's toaster don't work. Now she's going to be more open to the toaster because now she has a problem. And when you call people, and I do this in seminars all the time, 400 people in a room, and I say, raise your hand if you're buying a car. And you'll see 5, 6 hands go up. That's cold calling. Most of the people you call are not in the market and shopping for the thing that you're selling right now.
Right.
So the second part of this strategy that top performers do is they know this, and they have what's called a way to stay top of mind.
Okay.
So if we know that most people might be interested, but they're not interested right now, how do we stay top of mind so that when they're ready, they think of you?
Right.
Which we can get into. But the best person that I know that does that sells something that's more of a commodity than what you're selling. This guy sells fucking copy machines.
Okay.
I mean, I can't think of anything more commoditized than a copy machine. And he has been the number one copier salesman in Florida for 10 years because he's not a copier salesman. He's the copier warrior. He's branded himself. He carries a sword. He sends people red things that look like bricks, but they're sponges, with a note that says, if you ever get mad at your copy machine and you feel like throwing a brick at it because it's not printing right and it's jamming up the paper, here's a brick you could throw at it. So he sends these funny commercials and funny things to people every once in a while so that he stays top of mind. For someone like you, you could just get on video and answer questions that your prospects have that are top of mind and just send that to them once a month. Hey, this is Mikal here, talking about a new problem. I just got this message. I heard about someone talking about this thing. Here's my 2-minute answer. You got to have a personality, dude. You got to be somebody other than this salesperson. You got to have a brand.
Got it.
Like, go Google Dale Dupree, the copier warrior. The guy has his own commercial. I don't know what your jam is, dude, but you got to have a little personality, dude. And I mean this in a loving way. You sound lifeless.
You think so?
Yeah, dude. You're not you. I know you're not lifeless in real person. If you and I went out and had a drink.
No, I'm listening.
Don't think you lose your personality when you get into sales. It's just the opposite, man. If you lose your personality, you're invisible.
I got it.
Dale Dupree's not invisible because his business card is him holding a sword. Whatever your thing is, man. Maybe you're into music. My thing is green smoothies and bikes and guitars and shit. But whatever your thing is, don't lose your personality, man, because your personality matters. I had a guy I sold 8 years ago. I used to wear these really loud socks to every business meeting, and I'd sit intentionally so people could see them. And they'd always say, dude, those are some loud socks. I just wish that guy a happy work anniversary 8 years after I sold him, and he wrote me back, are you still wearing those socks? I don't remember what I sold him. He doesn't remember what I sold. It was so long ago, but he remembers how I made him feel.
Yeah.
And so much of this is before you pick up the phone and before you send an email, what red brick are you sending, man? That's memorable. So you don't sound like every other salesperson sending a generic email and a generic phone call. What are you going to send them in the mail that's interesting that you could then follow up with a phone call and say, hey, I'm Mr. Johnson. I thought it was a good idea to send you that red brick in the mail. Oh, yeah, man, I got that. That was kind of creative.
Yeah.
What can I do for you? But we're getting ahead of ourselves. I'm just giving you the big picture. There's a lot to do, but I think step one, if we had to narrow it down, most important thing is to get to know your customer better. So we talked about interviewing customers. What else do you think you could do to get to know your customer better?
No, that would be one. I would say just learning more about their business. Right?
How would you do it? What's the plan? What would you do? So we talked about interviewing customers, but how could you learn more about their world? What else could you do?
Find out what they're doing on, LinkedIn, so to speak. So, following them, what they're doing on LinkedIn, find out who those people are, that I'd target, go to some of their their networking events, so to speak. So if they're a part of any types of HR professional groups, be ingrained in those groups, just so I know exactly, hey, these are the problems that these people are facing on a day in and day out basis. So I know how to speak their
lingo. What else? What else? What about what else? Podcasts.
Yeah, listen.
Podcasts. What about magazines? Like, what are they reading? Like, what professional conferences do they go to? What are they reading? What are the podcasts? What else are they buying? Like, what other competitors are they looking at? And how are competitors describing the problems?
Okay.
So get immersed in this, because if you don't get this as the foundation of the house, man, none of the fancy tactics or cold email templates or cold call scripts, they really need this messaging, because without the messaging, and you hit on this at the beginning of the call, and you're exactly right. The reason you're falling flat now, my hypothesis is personality. We got to get you some, which you already have, but you for some reason think that when you go into a sales role, you have to speak corporate language and you have to be a certain way. You have to speak in weird salesy ways. I never understood it. Like, we would never talk like that in real life. These are just people. They watch Netflix when they go home. They're going to bars. They're just normal people. They'll lose their sense of humor when they leave. Yeah. So I cold call people. Like, if you cold called me, how would it sound? I pick up the phone. Hi, this is Josh.
Hey, Josh. This is Mike from the Ahola Corporation. Got a second?
Sure.
Or is this a bad time to talk? That's what I normally would say.
No, sure. Great time.
Sure. Great. Hey, well, listen, the reason for my call is we work with a lot of business owners like yourself to help them increase their, to help them drive revenue, making sure they hire the right people. Do you have a couple minutes in that? Do you have a couple minutes?
Okay. So you just so you know, and I'm just going to give you some insight here. That is what every single cold call sounds like that they get. And I'm not slamming you or anything. I'm just trying to give you some insight. So if you sound like everybody, literally, I want you to picture this in your head. You're a white circle in a sea of white circle cold calls. Yeah. Every single person that calls them says, "Can I have a minute?" and then gives them some benefit statement, just like you did.
Got it.
So if you're a white circle and there's 50 white circles and you're 51, they've heard that record before. You sound like a salesperson. Right. You remind them of the mall kiosk person that's trying to rub lotion on their hands.
Exactly.
Right? So what we have to do is we have to be a red X.
Okay.
So when I cold call someone, "Hey, Mikal, I got a surprise for you." What? What are you talking about? Yeah. So I don't say, do you have a minute? Because everyone's doing that, right? Hey, Mikal, why am I calling you? If it's an inbound lead, right? Why am I calling you? Why am I calling you again? I don't know. Why are you calling me?
Yeah.
So we have to think of these openers that are a little bit different. Mikal, congratulations.
Yeah.
What? On what? Yeah. Right. So what these things are doing is they're trying to evoke an emotional response. If you want to Google this stuff, it's called a pattern interrupt.
Okay.
It's called a pattern interrupt. And what pattern interrupts do is they get some type of an emotional response, because emotions are what sell, not logic. People buy based on emotion. They'll justify it later with logic, but they're buying a feeling that they get.
Right.
So I'll call someone and I'll say, "Hey, Irene, I got a surprise for you." What is it? It's your lucky day. Can you believe that? What are you talking about? What? I was on your site. I noticed you're selling to mobile game companies like X, Y, and Z. And I've got this unusual approach that's going to get you more meetings with other mobile app development companies. I don't suppose that's something you'd be interested in learning about. Should I just hang up right now? You don't want this, do you? Come on, be honest. So that's my cold call, right?
Okay.
So it's a little bit different, right? It's a little bit different. Is this the same Irina that was wearing red pants at the corporate party? Am I talking to her? Because I Googled her and I saw some video of her wearing red pants. Does everyone have to? Do you need red pants to get in there? Like, I got to be different, man. I got to shake things up. I got to have a little personality. Now, you can't copy what I'm doing.
No.
You have to be you.
Okay.
These are just things that I've done and that I coach people on, and we kind of find their own personality, and then we'd sort of do some role playing. But if you don't have fun with this, like, dude, does everybody I cold call, do I book meetings with everybody? No, I'm about 35%, right? 35% of the time, I'll book a meeting with someone using my approach.
I'll take it.
But comedians bomb too.
Yeah.
So comedians, I don't know if you know the process they go through to do a comedy special. Even Seinfeld does this, one of the best comedians of our time. And he'll work small clubs to work out his material. Louis C.K., all the greats. But I'd rather be funny and bomb than vanilla and never stand out and be a white circle.
Got it.
So we got to figure out how to bring your personality eventually into the mix.
Yeah.
When we cold call.
Okay.
So someone asks you, Mikal, is this a cold call? What do you say?
It absolutely is. Yes, it is. How am I doing?
Great. That's a little better.
Yeah.
So, hey, it is. My hands are sweaty. My palms are a mess. Would you like to hang up or should I?
Yeah.
Should I just get off the phone right now? Is this not going well? That's the idea, man. It's a little bit of, you want to kind of push away a little bit. It's kind of called reverse psychology. I don't suppose you're interested in that. Everything's cool over there, right? You guys are crushing it. I should just hang up right now. You don't need this seminar. Because when I cold call, I usually will offer like a seminar, because I know that most people aren't ready to buy, but most people are open to getting smarter about something that they care about. So when I cold call, I don't try to book a meeting to sell my services, which I do consulting and coaching. I'm doing a seminar on what top performing SDRs are doing to be able to book meetings that no one else is doing.
Okay. So Josh,
yeah.
How would you handle, so when you were at your previous company, how would you handle, did you use that same approach when you were doing cold calls, or this is something that you figured out later in life?
Dude, it's a great question. I was just like you, man. I was sick of the debilitating feeling of getting rejected. And all the sales books I read that I was following, and I read 50, 60 of them, all were telling me to do the same thing. And I went through it, but it never felt good on my soul. I never felt comfortable. Right. And therefore it came across.
Right.
So I ditched the sales books and actually started reading books on psychology and how the brain works, and less about how selling works, but more about how people buy.
Right.
Which is a very different set of books. I also started reading books on teaching, on entertaining, on comedy, on behavioral economics.
Okay.
And then I just started to apply some of the stuff that I learned to to doing outreach.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the interesting thing about sales. Someone always says, like, why should I listen to you? I always say, well, let me ask you the question. Let's see how you do. Why should I buy your thing over the competitor? How would you answer that?
Well, how would I answer that? Like, why should I buy
so I say, it sounds interesting, but why would I buy you over your competitor? What's so special about you guys?
Well, you get me. That's the biggest difference.
What's that?
You get me. That's
all right. And after you, what else do we get?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
If you're like most salespeople,
yeah,
they would start talking about their differentiators.
Right.
Right. That's what most salespeople do.
Right.
The problem is that when you do that, again, you sound like most salespeople. And the problem with that is people have a negative feeling about salespeople, rightfully so. Telemarketers, used car salesmen, the mall kiosk person. So we have to behave in ways that are not like those people.
Okay.
The opposite. So if someone said to me, Josh, why would I choose you over another sales consultant? I would say, I don't even know if you should. I could ask you some questions to see if I might be able to help and tell you how I might be able to help you. I don't want to presume that why I think I'm different matters to you. Would you be open to having a conversation about that? And I say it in a very slow voice, calm voice like that. Josh, your price is too much. Most salespeople would fight back and explain why their price is justified, and that just pushes people away. Someone says, your price is too much, which they say to me all the time. I say, you're absolutely right. I'm really expensive. Is price your only consideration? Because if you're looking for the lowest price, I got like a couple people I could point you to.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm not doing is fighting back. My intent is to lean back.
I get it.
And so anytime you hear that, and you're going to get objections on a cold call all the time, because it's a natural reaction. If you walk into a department store, I don't know, you shop for clothes, I would imagine. You go and walk into a department store. You're walking into a store that sells jeans and shirts. And a sales associate walks up to you and says, "Can I help you?" What do you say?
No, I'm just looking. I'm good.
Right. Now you're clearly in there for a reason. You don't walk into an underwear store, like you're in there for a reason. But the reason you say no is why?
Because you don't want to be sold. You don't want to be pressured to buy anything.
Most of the salespeople, when I asked this question, said I would never take a cold call from myself. And yet those are the cold calls we're making on our prospects.
Yeah.
Most of our LinkedIn profiles say, "Hey, we're a member of the President's Club. We crush quota." I don't want to buy something from someone that crushed quota. 62% of your products are 62% of your prospects, according to LinkedIn's new sales report that was just released in 2018, are looking at your profile when they engage with you. And if your profile says I'm crushing quota,
yeah, I don't want this guy.
Not great. How do you help me kick more ass? How do you help me be more awesome? What problems do you solve? So you kind of get the idea here is that we're selling with integrity. We're not coming in with this assumptive behavior. My intent isn't to make a sale. It's to first see if there's even a problem you have that I could potentially help you with. And when you come in with that intent, dude, selling feels awesome because there's no like rejection. There's nothing to have a rejection about.
Yeah.
Someone says, can you call me back? I'm busy. Mikal, I apologize, man. Most of the time people say that to me, they feel like the pressure and it's not something they really want to do. Do you want to just fire me right now? Like, let's just get it over with.
Yeah.
And then usually I get, this isn't something I'm interested in. And they don't have to chase.
Right.
But people are used to putting their guards up. So we have to fight really hard against it. We have to expect the objections to come when we cold call. And we got to kind of lean into them a little bit and see, is it really an objection or is it just a brush off? And we got to kind of stay in it a little bit. So there's a lot going on. We talked about a lot, but if I had to narrow it down to just one thing for you, man, I would just get to know the audience a little bit better.
Okay. All right. No, that sounds perfect. That sounds like homework.
And have a little fun, buddy, man. Loosen up. I would imagine you're a fun guy, dude. If you and I met out at dinner, I would imagine you won't sound like the corporate sales rep. Don't let your boss or who, if they're doing this, I'm being assumptive here, but don't let anyone beat out your personality, man.
I appreciate that.
Be you, buddy. You matter, man, more than just as much as your product.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate
that. Find your voice.
All right. I appreciate that, man.
And I'll send you this video to the email address that's on the invite so you can have it for your records.
Okay. Sounds good. Hey,
real quick. More questions? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was looking at some of the store, right?
Yeah.
That you have some of the courses that you have. So I see that there's the one large one that has all the cells and all the playbooks, everything from email to phone call and everything like that. And then there were the few that were just offset. Yeah. So is there a way to do some of the things that I'm interested in, or is it all, how does that work?
So I don't recommend you buy anything from me right now because this is what's going to happen.
Right.
You'll buy it and you'll be like, oh, this is so much cool shit.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to get distracted.
Okay.
This is what often happens. So my Badass B2B Growth Guide is my most popular thing. It's got all of I call them plays. Right. All the things I've done over 15 years that have made me a 7-figure earner consistently, as well as the clients that I've worked with. The exact things I do, the exact scripts. Like there's about 60 plays. I add a couple more every month. And so each play is about 2 minutes to read. It takes about 15 minutes to execute. And it's awesome. Okay. There's 60 of them. And people freaking love it. But I don't think it's right for you right now because you don't have that foundation piece. But once you have that foundation piece, I'm more than happy to jump on another call with you and test it out to make sure I'm happy with, this sounds like a problem. And it sounds like their language. And then we can kind of talk about what might make sense next. But I don't want you to get distracted. I know I have a tendency to do this. Like I go on YouTube all the time. But I got guitars back here, right? I don't know how to play one fucking song. Why? Because YouTube, I know the first 5 bars of like 50 songs because I'm like, next song. I can't take it, dude. My brain is like, I can't focus. I have a problem with focus. And I got, I don't know, you saw my closet, I don't know, 50 books, 50 DVDs. I'm playing the guitar. Courses over here. And it's too much, dude. So what I have a coach to help me with right now is focus. because I'm all over the place. I'm like a squirrel. I'm like, ooh, squirrel, like a dog. So try to just focus on this customer thing first, this language. And then once you feel you've got that, you kind of got a handle on it. And the way you'll know is you'll finish this sentence. Do you know how sometimes?
Okay.
Right?
Right.
You'll be able to finish that sentence. Like, you know, sometimes you take your car to the mechanic to get an oil change, and the mechanic tells you need a new transmission and you don't know whether or not he's full of shit or not. You know how sometimes you have a cashmere sweater, you accidentally put it in the dryer and it shrunk and you can no longer use it, you just wasted $300? You know how sometimes you make 100 calls, you only talk to 2 people? Like, you'll have that, you'll be able to call me and you'll be like, Josh, and you may solve a couple problems, which is okay too.
Okay.
So we can have a couple statements. But once you get that problem and you've gone through the process of, like you said, Googling top 10 challenges of whatever your title is, another thing I like to do. Top challenges of whatever your title is that you're selling to.
Okay.
You're going to start to hear some themes. Start a Google Doc, call it My Customer's Lingo. And you're going to start like writing down in the Google Doc, like phrases. What's the frazzle thing? The stop knocking on the door thing. Like, what's that for you?
Okay.
And once you get that and you finish that sentence, hit me back up. And, I'm always happy to help people out that are just getting started in the profession. It's an unbelievable profession with unlimited amounts of money if you're good on the phone. If you only focus on the phone, dude, and you don't get distracted with the technology and the email, like all the other stuff, if you just get a little creative and you get really good on the phone, you can go pretty far in this business, man.
Okay. So don't worry about the emails and don't worry about this. Worry about getting in front of people.
Your boss is going to have you do whatever your boss is going to have you do. I don't want you to get in trouble, but at the same time, what I want you to do is I want you to get to know your customer better. That's your only assignment for the next however long it takes you to do.
Okay.
And then once you get that done, the next goal is going to be, I don't care how many phone calls you make. I have a different outlook on it. I want you to have 5 conversations a day.
Yeah, that's more important than dial.
5 conversations a day, dude, you could be a top 1% earner if you know how to talk on the phone. If you know how to handle, the pushback. You guys do any inbound leads?
No, we don't. We're very elementary. Well, not elementary. I would say we're in the beginning stages of trying to transition from strictly payroll, right, to HCM software. And so one of the other things, and then I'm sure our time is almost up, but one of the other things is that we focus on is building relationships with alliance partners. Right, so brokers. Yep,
sure. I did that at Jellyvision as well. Yeah, that you have a distribution.
Yeah, CPAs.
Yeah, so they're gonna have different problems.
Right.
So we have to call them if you have them already.
Got it.
Well, for Jellyvision, I remember this actually because I did that. It was, God, I'm trying to remember. You know how you go into a finalist meeting and you present and you're just like every other broker that comes in and you don't have any way to differentiate yourself? Broker. Yeah, that's all the time.
Yeah.
We have a way for you to differentiate yourself so you win more bids. Would you like to learn more about that?
Yeah.
So I remember that actually because we went through that process. But yeah, that you'd have to talk to that audience. We'll have different ways in which they describe their problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
Welcome to sales, buddy. You're already
I appreciate it.
You're already further ahead than 99% of people. Oh, and here's another thing, dude. If you want extra credit.
Okay.
If you want extra credit, and you probably won't do this because only 1% of people do, but I'll plant the seed and maybe one day you'll do it.
All right. Hit me.
Change your LinkedIn headline.
Okay.
To something focused on how you help your customers do something better.
Okay.
1 sentence. You can look at mine for inspiration. And then part 2.
All right.
I want you to do once a week. And you probably won't do this, but I want to plant the seed.
All right.
Is I want you to figure out one question that your prospects have that are top of mind, just one. Okay. And I want you to go on LinkedIn and hit post and hit the little video icon. And I just want you to say, one of the questions that I hear is this. Okay. And here's my perspective on the answer. 2 minutes, 1 minute, that's it. Now, for a long time, nobody is going to be watching it or paying any attention to it. So there's really no one's going to see it. But eventually, like Morgan Freeman one of the top SDRs that I know, you keep doing this, a year from now, as you start to get more reach, you'll be in people's feeds. And then when you cold call, and wear something unusual, wear like a hat, wear like on color, wear something that people can identify you with. A hat, and glasses. And every week I want you to go in there and I want you to share something about that's going to make your prospects a little bit smarter. Now, you don't have to create this yourself. You can read something that someone else wrote and then make it your own. Like I call it stealing like an artist. It's what all great artists do. I mean, Michael Jackson, if there was a video, it was fascinating. I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. It was a split screen of Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal and Fred Astaire. Fred was wearing the same exact outfit, same exact dance moves, obviously different song, but you could take something that someone already said on a podcast and be like, that was interesting, but I'm going to explain it in my own way.
Got it.
And so you don't even have to like come up with any original thought. It's just how you're going to package it. And do that once a week. Get in the habit of creating and being your own marketing department. Let marketing, if you ever have it, let them do whatever they're going to do. You can't control that, but you can control you. The other advantage of this is you personally are going to be much more marketable if you ever switch gigs, which you will. Everyone does.
Yeah.
I mean, the person that has content and has a perspective, because what I'm doing as an employer is I'm hitting your LinkedIn profile. Oh my God, this guy's like making videos and he's like sharing his perspective and he's making his audience smarter and you're going to be more attractive to an employer than someone that's just a resume.
Got it. Appreciate it.
All right, man.
All right, Josh. Have a good New Year, man. I'm sure I'll be talking to you.
I'll send you this. All right, man. Hey, hopefully I wasn't too preachy.
No, you weren't. That was perfect. That was perfect, man. That was perfect.
All right, have a good one.
All right, man. Take care.